Welcome everyone to another Universal Experience. My name is Lorelle. I am the co-founder of Educators in VR, and this is a partnership conference and festival with the Virtual World Society and Educators in VR. It is a month-long celebration to bring together around the world. And this stage area up here is filled with these amazing disruptive people. I just love it. So before we begin with this wonderful panel on world builders who are breaking the rules, pushing the boundaries, and really creating the most amazing experiences here in AltSpace and on hubs and other platforms as well, I want to thank the HP Virtual Reality and HP Higher Ed. There are Infinity sponsors, and I just got word that we're working on a raffle to give away one of the new HP Reverb G2s. So we'll hopefully have some news on that coming up. Yeah. And we also have, yes, I was very excited to hear that just an hour ago. All right. We also want to thank our Galaxy sponsors, Engage VR and Advantis Education, that are also changing education in XR all around the world. So thank you to all and all up on this stage. So instead of me going around and doing the introductions, I'd like to have each of you to make sure that you are all on megaphone, you're all on air. You should be, because we have 2 rooms open now filled with people. And which reminds me, can everyone here send up hearts to let people in room 2 know they are not alone? So everybody shoot up some hearts to let them know that this is a huge, wonderful event. I love it. And if you do take pictures, please join us in our Educators in VR Discord at discord.me/educators in VR and upload pictures to our UniVirtual Experience. So I'd like to start over at the end, over the far end over here, and have each person introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your world building, and then we're going to get to some great discussions. All right, Taja, go for it.
Oh, okay. Hi, I'm Taja. I build worlds.
In Unity, in the virtual world builder, what do you do? I mean, the AltspaceVR world builder, what do you do? What kind of worlds?
I do a lot of space-themed worlds, starships, lounges in the middle of an alien ocean, that sort of thing. And I model and put everything in Unity.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, I'm put on the spot. I'm first.
He's way too humble, folks. Way too humble.
Way
All
too
right.
humble.
Anthony, you're up.
Hi, all. My name is Anthony. I'm a professor of psychology at Mount Royal University in Calgary, in Canada. I build worlds for research. So in Unity, I build nature-themed worlds for research to use nature to lower stress and anxiety levels. So that's one of the my research area. So I build worlds for that. And then I also build worlds for teaching. I'm teaching a university course coming up in AltSpace, the entire credit university course. And so I've been working on developing learning spaces for that course and for other things like the Researchers in VR event space and that. So mostly all my stuff is nature themed, outdoors, big skyboxes, that kind of stuff. That's me.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Mark, Carnivore.
Hi, my name's Mark Gill. I run the visualization lab at St. Cloud State University. And for the past year, I've been fortunate enough to get paid to build worlds in AltSpace for my day job. And when I'm taking a break from that, I'm building worlds for fun in AltSpace. It's been quite a passion for about the past year or so.
Awesome. I think I'm next.
All right, Nicholas. Yep.
Yeah, hopefully everyone can hear me. So my name's Nicholas. I run the Universe or CS and VR community here in AltSpace, where we teach live courses in 3D. So right now we're teaching basically VR development courses from beginner to advanced, and also in between VR worlds in AltSpace. So far we've had over 400 events with 7,000 students attending those events and courses. So I'm more involved in the teaching end of helping people build their own realities in AltSpace.
Yay. And TriUniverse is one of our, I don't know quite what to call you, but founding members of Educators in VR in many respects. And if you join our membership program, we've got a special discount for his events, all of his classes and stuff with Try Universe. So do check that out. All right, little plug. Okay, Artsy.
Hey guys, I'm Artsy. I'm a fairly new world builder to AltSpace, and I make people's dreams come true in here. So people bring their wildest, craziest ideas to me, and I turn their vision into something that we can play around with here in AltSpace. I also teach other up and coming world builders how to do it as well. I have been a little disruptive with making money in AltSpace, but I truly believe that artists should get paid for what they do.
Excellent. Agreed. Wonderful. Next up is Neera. Yay.
Hi guys, I'm Neera. I'm a world builder here, although I don't really build too many worlds. I do a lot of silly stuff. I work more with immersive design. I like to look at how people are engaging with each other in spaces, what they're doing, what kind of fun they're having, like I think that it makes a big difference what people can experience, not only in a space, but with each other as well. So I work more on the immersive design end, and I've just recently started really diving into the MRE side of things to help achieve that even a little bit more. So.
And trust me, when she says she does some great, great fun things. I just love it. Karen666.
Hi, yeah, I've been building worlds for about nearly 3 years now, and I like to concentrate on worlds that have kind of got an educational theme. So I look at things like environmental issues, like plastic pollution, food waste, that kind of stuff, because I like my worlds to try and get a message across to people. I've built a couple of fun worlds as well, though. But so far, I've only ever used the world editor, just the AltSpace and the featured kits. I haven't learned anything much beyond that, but maybe at some point I will do.
Excellent. Well, we love yours. And she's just created Galaxy 666 recently, and we've had already one event there for the UniVirtual Experience, and we're going to be bringing it back. So get ready for that social at Gallery 666. All right, Daisy Shaw, one of our great world builders. Want to introduce yourself?
Well, hi guys, I'm Daisy, and yeah, I've been here getting on for 3 years. I found out that you could build your own world the very same day I joined AltSpace, and the very next day I started. I built my first world within 5 days, and that was 55 worlds ago. So I'm still here, I'm still loving every minute, and I love this community and everybody in it.
Yay. Now she's also humble. She's also very, very humble. She's built some of the most amazing educational and social worlds as well. And this whole group here have changed the lives of so many people here in AltSpace with their virtual worlds. And it's not very often we get a chance to actually say thank you. But I'd like to start, and this is a discussion, so y'all can jump in however you want to do. I'll just ping pong back and forth here in the middle, or I'm going to move off to the side. It's going to be easier. What I'd like to know, and any of you can jump in because this is a discussion. What inspires you? That's what I really want to know. What really inspires you when it comes to building a world? What makes you jump? I know that in Educators in VR, our world building Discord channel and Educators in VR, I'll put up some ideas once in a while to go, how would we build this? Let's think about this. What would be the user experience? And I love it when people jump up and go, oh, have I got an idea for that? And they're inspired. But what really makes you take that next step to build something? Where do you get your ideas?
I can
Okay,
tell,
Daisy?
I can say, sometimes it's just an advertisement on the TV. It can be as simple as that. I'll see some beautiful scene, and I'll think, I could build that. That would be great. And sometimes it's just as simple as that. And also get inspiration from other world builders too, you know, and I love the way in Altspace, nobody minds that this is all about getting inspiration from each other. So if we can like pinch
Absolutely.
an idea here and there, it's nice that people say to me, "Oh, I pinched your idea. I hope you don't mind." I say, "Hell no, there's a room for everybody."
There is. There is. Yes, indeed. Well said. How about the rest of you? What inspires you? Oh, one of
Well,
you.
I mean,
Go ahead, Connor.
I mean, inspiration comes from a lot of different things. Like Daisy said, it could be something that I hear in a song, or it could be the words "world building challenge" in a Discord post, or it could be a problem that somebody else is having. Sometimes it comes from the function. If I need a world to do a certain thing or have a certain function to its existence, a lot of times the rest of its design sort of unfolds from that. It comes from a lot of different places.
Anthony?
Yeah, I would have to agree in the sense that it comes from a lot of different places. There's absolutely a lot of sources. Often for me, I've been building a lot of educational spaces recently. And the direct motivation there is because I'm building a space to do a specific job. And so it's been really fun trying to learn how to customize a space so that it does that job better. So each iteration of the world that I modify and I change and I throw it out and I start from scratch, each one improves a little bit. And I find that really satisfying. I can walk into the space afterwards and just see that this is slightly more functional than the last one was. And I like that process. And I'm going to throw in one other fun thing. One of the things I love about building something in Unity and then uploading it to Altspace is these sort of emergent spaces that just occur. So you build a thing and you sort of put all the pieces together and you upload it into Altspace and you inhabit it with your avatar. And when you walk around it, there's all these new spaces that you get to explore that you sort of created, but you weren't necessarily thinking. Like, you might be thinking about this part, but then this other little part off the side, when you walk in there with your avatar, you go, hey, this is actually kind of cool over here, and I wouldn't really even give that much thought when I was putting it together. And so you almost get to build a place and then explore it yourself. So you get to go on an exploration of your own space, which is really cool and weird and unique to VR.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely
Yeah,
true.
I'd like to.
Absolutely is.
I'd like to
just built
piggyback
a-
off that.
Mhm.
I actually, sorry, I used to
No,
play The Sims, like from when I was like 12 years old to like 31. Literally, like I played all of the Sims games, and like for me, world building is like tapping into my childhood again, and being able to bring the type of buildings that I used to build for my Sims to inhabit, to actually let my community to inhabit, and that's like it's super gratifying to take something from literally a cube and grow it up to be this environment that has a particular energy to it, a particular purpose to it. And then to see people, inhabit the space and like really enjoy, how they feel and, creating different ways for people to communicate and connect. Like after bringing in something completely empty that had no life to it and seeing the community of Altspace give life to it, like that's really what keeps me going.
Beautiful. Daisy, did you want to add on to that?
Oh, it's just that I loved what Anthony said. I've just built a new a world 2 days ago called Solitude, and when I came in, I've got lost 3 times. I don't know where the hell I am. Where is that? Where is that damn cave? It's funny.
I love that. Well,
I kind of wanted to add
Karen,
on.
oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Neera.
I was going to kind of add on to what Artsy said earlier. I think that, making people's dreams come true is a big inspiration, or even not even a dream, but a simple thing. I know a lot of people have seen the fireworks show, but I don't know if people know the reason that I even made that in the first place was just one user in here said, and I met my wife during fireworks and he was sick and he was bedridden. And he said, on New Year's Eve, I'm going to be staying home, but I feel bad sometimes that I can't take her out somewhere. And I was like, good enough reason to make a fireworks show in Altspace, so sometimes it's just a reason of somebody saying something that you know, something that can be so meaningful for one person can be meaningful for a lot of people. And I think some of the things that I've worked on that have that inspiration behind them have been the best things to work on because they come from a good place. And I think that you get out what you put in. So
Absolutely. I
Definitely.
love that. Well, I was going to say that Karen 666 and I are like many of you world builders, we like self challenges. And we'd like to see, you know, our inspiration often starts with, I wonder if I could, or what if I, and then, you know, whatever. It's kind of like a bad logic thing. Karen, you want to talk about your recent experiment?
Oh, what, my gallery?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, well, most of the worlds I've built before, I mean, I haven't built loads like Daisy, but the ones I have done have been, I've used far too many kits. I've used too many. My first world had about 30 kits in it. You're only supposed to have 5. I went a bit mad. And every single world I've built has got so many kits. So I thought, well, I've got to try and, you know, see if I can actually get within the limit. And then I thought I'd go further than that. So I set myself a challenge and I said to Lorelle, I'm going to build a gallery and I'm only going to use 3 kits initially, I said. And then I got it down to 2 and I said, right, I'm going to make it with 2 kits. And the entire gallery is actually built with the AltspaceVR, the geometrics kit, and the random kit that Tommy made. And I've just made an entire gallery with artwork on the walls, sculptures, and the actual structure of the building itself, all with just the 2 kits, plus the use of text as well. So it was a real challenge, but I think it worked out okay, didn't it?
It worked out spectacular. And you want to tell them how many objects are in the world and what the size is? I
Yeah,
have it here if you don't remember.
yeah, the size of the world is 8 megabytes, which is I think is okay. And the objects, AltSpace recommend using no more than 200 objects, and I've used 2,211, but it works okay.
Isn't that amazing?
I
I
like
love
breaking the
it.
rules.
No, I just love it. And she knows that I'm a Doctor Who fan, so and she is not. So she actually researched Doctor Who and built a TARDIS and a Dalek, having not being a fan. And in the door molding, this is, I mean, it's hard to explain this.
job.
Please check out Gallery 666. But the door molding, one line across the door is 16 cubes from the geometric kit. Everything has been hand placed. We call this hand sculpting. It is a patience that is beyond belief. And Mark, you were in there to see for the gallery opening with UniVirtual, and you were just blown away by this. You want to just talk about that, the aspect of hand sculpting and
Well, I mean, what she's done was, at first I thought, you know, when you first go in there, you go, well, okay, this looks okay, but then you realize that everything is an individual object, and she's got such consistency in the sizing and the placement. She does smooth curves made out of just cubes that are all exactly the same size and perfectly aligned, and to do that by hand is. I was just blown away, right? And you know, sure, she could bring up the little editor and you can type in the numbers and you get some precision that way. But have you typed in that thing in a headset? That's not easier.
Yeah.
That's not easier. Yeah, and if you've done any kind of object management or world building like that, just knowing that managing 2,000 objects, all of them named cube number something or other, it just.
See, now everyone's
Yeah.
thinking, I really don't have a life, do I?
I think that many of us, as soon as we found Altspace, life stopped, okay? Or it actually blossomed. So now I'd like to find out from y'all. Now this is where we could get really negative. We don't want to be, but sometimes when you put a student or an artist into a box and you put limits and caps on them, they actually become more creative. So let's talk about what are the limits of building here in Altspace? What gets in your way? What challenges you? And then how do you break through that? And I know Daisy, Daisy has been just devastated with the video issues with your beautiful video-based worlds. I know that has challenged you to no end.
Yes, that's been a challenge. And also when somebody deletes their account, that's the biggest challenge. When you're totally dependent on the kits that people very kindly share, but then somebody deletes their account. I lost 18 worlds and one of our community members deleted their account and I had to rebuild them. I was in tears at the time because it was just devastating. But yeah, I'm back stronger.
The shared is terrible. Yes, it is. How about the rest of you? What's your biggest challenge, the biggest headache?
I don't know if it's the biggest.
I guess I could talk about this from like seeing a lot of people build worlds and helping them build their own worlds. I think there's quite a bit of lack of documentation with AltspaceVR world building, knowing which components they're going to allow with their Unity uploader, which they're going to disallow. So a lot of times it's, the community making makeshift guides and making videos, which is awesome. But for being honest, a lot of times it's just going to come through experience, understanding whether you could place something like a camera or like a level of detail component, and that still be passed successfully with Unity to Altspace. So it's not like a traditional development field where you have a lot of documentation and it's very standardized. In Altspace, it's really community driven, understanding what you can and can't do. So yeah, I would say documentation.
All right. And Anthony, what were you going to say? Or was it Todd?
No, it was me. I was just
one of you two.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's actually kind of tied to what Nicholas was just saying, which is optimizing worlds for live events. So Rel helped me out an enormous amount when I was trying to develop the world for researchers in VR, our live event space that we have our events in. And it's kind of an interesting process. I learned Unity through Nicholas, through his courses from Universe. And so that's how I learned Unity. And it's interesting over the last year going through this process of like, you start to learn how to use all the features and you learn more and more and more. And then you start putting more and more and more stuff in your world. And then all of a sudden you've got this really big, beautiful world, but it's like not usable for public events because it's way too graphically demanding and it's not optimized. And so there's that sort of second phase of learning where you learn how to optimize for what your objective is so that you can build a world that is functional for whatever it is you're trying to build it for. So that, I wouldn't say that was a frustration, but it was just part of the learning curve of kind of going through the process. Just learning how to optimize a world for whatever it is you want to use it for.
Yes. And Taja, you had something to add?
Well, I guess adding to Carnivore's point as well, the optimization phase would have been nice to know at the beginning if there was enough documentation. And as a new world builder, I had to find out by asking people and going around. And luckily, Altspace is a place where, you have a question, somebody will tell you, somebody will help you. And actually, I started Unity because of your classes, so thank you. I got the courage because of Carnivore. So yeah, it's the workaround and optimization is a big thing that I'm trying to figure out as well right now.
I agree with the optimization as well.
Yeah.
I really want to put everything, right? Like, and like my clients, like they want my clients have the best ideas, right? Like they have these expansive imaginations that just go way beyond, what I think is possible. And sometimes I hate being the bad guy, like me and Neera have talked about this. We hate being the bad guy because people come in with such like huge imaginations of the stuff that they want to build in one world, right? Not across multiple worlds, but in one world, they want to fit like everything. And I have to be the one to crush their dreams and be like, hey, we can't do all this because if you're trying to fit more than 5 people in this world, it's just not going to work. So I think it's maybe not a limitation of particularly Altspace, but just the fact that all of us are using mobile headsets that there's a limitation with how big we can do things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right,
actually,
DJ Moto, if you could back up please from the speakers, that would be really appreciated.
I think that sometimes these limitations are actually what's motivated me to build worlds. And I mean, if Jimmy was here, he would agree. I think I've made a career in Altspace of trying to prove him wrong.
So Jimmy is one of the AltspaceVR developers. Yep.
Yes, and like when he would say something's not possible, this is where I know people get upset when they say this isn't a game, it's a social platform. And I'm like, oh no, this has been a game for me for a long time, people, of what workaround I can fix now. You know, like, so there's always something that we're told we can't do. And I'm like, challenge accepted. So a lot of my worlds have been built just kind of out of, I suppose, being a smartass. I mean, like, I think we can make that happen. So sometimes I don't think it's so bad with the limitations, because those limitations really, for a lot of us, I know Ben, you know, one of the great builders in here too, is the same way. You know, when he is told that something is not possible, darn it, we are like right at it trying to figure out how there is a way. It might not be the best way. We may fake it until we make it, but the faking is believable too. So I
But I
I
think
like
that's
those
part of the
challenges.
fascination about collaborative world building that we do here, is that we
Hmm.
push and shove not only those boundaries, but our boundaries. We have to push and shove our expectations. Like Artsy said, control the expectations of clients.
We appear to have lost Rel for a second.
I thought it was
Yeah,
me.
yeah. No,
No,
she'll be back.
she'll be right back. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can say in the meantime, I can talk a little bit about that idea of optimizing these spaces, and it's sort of like sometimes, you know, let's say someone's going to write something, and you give them a word count. And you say you can only write up to 1,000 words. You can't write more than 1,000 words. It forces people to be more careful and make decisions about what words they choose to include. Right? They optimize their writing, and some of the limitations that exist in here sort of can create the same thing. Like if you're restricted a little bit, it forces you to make more conscious decisions about what you include and what you don't include. Like if you look at all this stuff, you go, I can't have all this in my world. What am I not going to include? And so then it forces you into making these decisions that ultimately might result in it being a better world in the end. So there are some benefits to that as well.
Mhm.
Sure.
I
I-
agree.
You know, yeah, on the
It's,
optimization thing,
yeah.
I found that the best way to optimize my worlds is to take control of every aspect of every asset that I'm putting in there. If I'm working with somebody else's models, then, you know, it could be a lot more work than it's worth to optimize them, refine the proper textures. But it's sort of like cooking, really. You know, if you want absolute control over a recipe and the ingredients, you have to make it from scratch.
Absolutely. Now I want to take a break here and take some questions from the audience while we're waiting for DJ Moto. Thank you. All right, to see what you have to ask from these amazing world builders. So hit the raise hand button that's down in the lower right corner, and let's see what you have to ask this great group. And while we're waiting for questions, can you quickly just run down the roll, starting with Daisy? Your 2 or 3 of your favorite worlds, the name of them, so people would know to look for it.
My world,
Yes, your world. What's 2 or 3 of your favorite worlds that you think people would enjoy?
people do very much enjoy my Castle in the Misty Forest, and I've just built the new Solitude world, which I'm really enjoying actually spending time in there myself. It's kind of got it's a nice place to go and take a walk. And I like building adventure worlds where people can have fun and just run and jump and play like everybody else.
Excellent.
So,
Well, you have great worlds in that. Karen,
thank you.
your 2 or 3 of your worlds.
Yeah, I like the ocean, which shows like plastic pollution in the ocean, and my other world, Plastic Mountain, which shows how all the plastic kind of gets there in the first place, and also I like my food waste world as well, because that's a subject that I'm really keen on, and it shows how food is kind of wasted across the world and what we can do about it.
Excellent. Neera?
Oh
I
boy.
should say your MRE kits. No.
I know. It's like I'm not really a huge world builder. I do have the fireworks world. Some people like to go and see that if you're looking for something that's more pretty. Other than that, I've got a lot of silly worlds. Like I don't build a whole lot of worlds that are meant to stay in for hours. You know, I build a lot of stuff that's meant to go there, have a laugh, and be silly. And two worlds that I think achieve that are mow the lawn, which I mean, if you really want to mow the lawn in
Love
VR,
that.
you can go do that, and it's just hilarious to watch everybody going around in circles mowing. And then a fishing world too. You know, people are all standing on this island fishing. I mean, they're small and quaint, and it gets people laughing together. And usually when you laugh with somebody in here, you've made a friend. So that's what I try to achieve with those.
Absolutely. Artsy?
First I would say Treviday. Treviday is my spiritual awareness contribution to the community. You can go in there and have conversations, you know, with the cards that I put on each of the tables. It's the one where you're floating. It's a floating triangle over the water. It's probably one of my most popular ones. The second one I would say is definitely Fall Factor Extreme, which is the obstacle course that I made. That one's now public, so everybody can run the course. And the third one I would say is it's Artsy's private jet, because that's my hub world where you can get to all of my other worlds that are public. But if you've ever been to one of my worlds, you'll see my logo on it. A lot of my worlds are not in my possession, as there are, you know, hundreds of people with my templates. So it's I mean, you're bound to run into one of them at some point. Which all of
Nicholas?
them are my favorite.
Of course they are.
Yeah, so for me, my favorite world that I built was the motherboard world, where I would teach lessons about the components on the motherboard, like seeing the RAM stick, seeing the fan, seeing the CPU. We used to hold events there, but some of my favorite student worlds that I've seen is definitely Hearts of Oak Entry by Zed, which is a really cool port world with a ship and beautiful lighting and water. And then also Mark's world, his first world that I really saw with photogrammetry, with Tantalon Castle. And now he's like doing amazing things with photogrammetry. But that was one of the first times we got to see his work, and it was a really cool world.
Yeah, and Mark Jeffcock is teaching the photogrammetry workshop. Thank you for helping make that possible all this week here for the UniVirtual Experience. So we just finished class number 2, but there's still time. Somebody's got quite a car. Car driving by.
What was
All
that?
right. Carnivore. The real word leaking in.
Yeah.
Your favorite world.
Man, I don't know.
one.
Which one?
House of
Karn. Yeah, everybody's like House of Karn. So yeah, I got to put House of Karn at the top of the list. That's definitely the one that I'm going to have to try and beat this year. Ghostbusters was fun to work on. I'm probably most proud of the worlds that I did for the Mate virtual competition. I think that's probably some of my best work. But if I just feel like going someplace and basking in my own glory, I have to go to Agrabah. That's
yeah. Yes, indeed. Yes. So I just want to, on that, I want to, before I get to our last 2 speakers and their worlds, we're going to be touring behind the scenes of the theater worlds that Neera and Carnivore, Mark, were a part of building, coming up in a future event with UniVirtual Experience. So get ready for that. You can see true magic. I just love it. Anthony, quick, 2 to 3 of your worlds.
There's a world called Vizwig's Mountain Retreat, which is made with the AltspaceVR world builder, which is a bit of fun. And it's just like a high mountain kind of area. It's one of the first places I built that I walked around afterwards and went, actually, I kind of like being here. You know, it was when I was sort of learning and things. There's the other one that I'm probably the most proud of that I like is the one that is the world for the researchers in VR events. We have events every Monday, researchers events, and I built that world for our event space. And so I'm pretty proud of that one. I put a lot of time into that one. Rel put a lot of time in helping me with that one, guiding me. That was fantastic. And then the last world I want to mention, one of the most fun I've ever had in a VR world was, I think it was one of yours, Neera. It was that one with the spaceships that we went in and we were all flying around in the dark, blasting each other. That was so much fun. Is that still around?
Yeah, it's still there too.
Blaster disaster.
Master disaster. That was
You can
so
tell we
much
got
fun.
a love fest up here. All right, Taja, how about you? What are yours?
Oh, sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Ooh, I gotta pick favorites among my children. I have no problem with that. So, the first, I'm a terrible parent, but so I guess I don't know how to say them in order, but the Scarlet Monarch, I'm very proud of that. That's the first world that I built in. I put myself through a very high challenge because I insisted on modeling everything, from the ship to the interior to the furniture and everything. And I guess the second one would be the Tidal House, in the daytime and the evening. That's when I kind of discovered, wow, I can play with emotions with my world building. And yeah, that was it's one of my favorite ones, the first house I built. But I think my absolute favorite would be the Madonna Lounge, because apparently, whenever I'm not around, because I'm in such a weird time zone, I am definitely, when everybody's awake, I'm definitely asleep. People are always in there, and they're always meeting each other, and they're talking, and they always tell me that they meet some of their closest friends there. And I'm thinking, wow, this world is doing good, So yeah, it's weird. World building, it's a journey, and you never know what to expect. What you build, it takes a life on its own. So it's all out there in
Exactly.
the world. Yeah.
It does. It does. All right. If you have a question, please hit the raise hand button. Steph, you're up.
Hello. I was just
Hello.
wondering, how long did it take you to get used to scale and how big you are compared to what your building is?
So Steph has a bit of an echo, so I'm going to mute her and I'll unmute her when we're done. How about scale? It's a great question.
It's
Well, in
definitely a
Unity,
challenge. Sorry, go ahead, Daisy.
well, just that my very, very first attempt at a Unity world, wanted to build a building in the world editor, mountains for people to climb. And I built this beautiful terrain using the terrain tool with all these wonderful mountains. And I couldn't wait to get in so that I could put rivers in there with my water kit. And when I got in, the mountains were 2 feet tall. Yeah, I thought,
I
oh
have
my
the same
God.
problem.
So I learned that you have to put I put a capsule in there. The first thing you do is put a little capsule in Unity and make it 1.6 meters tall. And then you put that there and you can see that's how you scale things. So I didn't make that mistake again.
I love it. I love it. What about the rest of you?
The capsule idea is the exact same thing that I do. I have a little red capsule that's the same height as an avatar's body is. And I just as a prefab, and I just drop it in everywhere when I start in a new world. And it just gives me the base scale to start from of how big an avatar is. And the other thing you can do in Unity, which is really nice, is the scale is in metric. So when you raise the terrain up by 5, you're raising it up by 5 meters, or for people who are less familiar with that, 5 yards, basically, approximately. So you can actually use the numerical scale to help you visualize it. So those are two of the things that I do.
When I was first building, I would upload the same template 20 times trying to get the size right. I never knew about it took me probably a good 5 months to learn the capsule. And probably not 5 months, maybe 3 months. Till I met the burners and they showed me in a video how to do it. And it changed the whole game for me. But I do like to actually play with scale a lot, making worlds that make you feel really small or make you feel really big. I know Daisy has done some really good builds with that, as far as scale in your avatar, because we are in virtual reality, so there's no exact limit or boundary that we have to be in. So I think it's fun to play with scale. unless you're going for something super realistic.
I do too. I think as long as you can fit through the door, you're golden.
Yeah.
Scale's an issue when you can't fit through something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for me, you've also got to have it's a multi-step process. I can get the scale a certain way, designing it in Unity, but I really don't get a sense of it until I get into the world in a headset and look in it from the inside out. That's really the only way to know for sure.
Absolutely. All right. So let me check in with Steph. Did that answer your question?
Indeed it did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. Halion, you're up.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Yeah, my question, it goes back actually to your first one about the inspiration behind worlds. And I was wondering actually, because was it Artsy said about you build the world of your dreams. And I was wondering, because I often come into some of these worlds and I think, well, first of all, what were they on when they did it? But I was wondering, have you ever actually been inspired by a dream? Because I've certainly, since I've been doing this fairly regularly, I've certainly had dreams now where I'm in what I think are probably, outspace worlds, and the way you get around in them. And so that's affected me. But I just wondered, have any of you actually sort of dreamt something and thought, oh, well, go away and do that because it's an interesting dream. And dreams are usually bizarre anyway. So.
No, it's interesting you say that because you are all in one of my dreams.
Wow.
So I grew up a fisherman's daughter. No, seriously, I grew up a fisherman's daughter, and so I spent way too much of my life on the sea. And the idea of actually being under the water and having that be a lifestyle, it's like beyond Little Mermaid. I wanted that to be an acceptable thing, to have fish flying through your front of your face, and so that was a frequent dream, and I manifested here in a couple of other worlds. So yeah. Oh, I love it. All right, how about the rest of you? I'm now scared about what your dreams have been.
Absolutely. My Day was a dream, actually. I saw the sculpture and it took me about 2 or 3 weeks to really understand what the structure was supposed to do. Like I made the structure in SketchUp and then I brought it into Unity and I baked it. And then I brought it into AltSpace completely empty. And I was like, I don't know what this is for. And so I mulled over it for probably 2 or 3 more days. And then it just hit me what it was for. And so it turned out to be, way beyond what I consciously would have thought of for myself to build.
Cool. The rest of you?
I've got this thing where, well, first of all, yes, all of my worlds come from my dreams, but I've actually got this technique that I use when I'm thinking about a world or coming up with a design, where I'll meditate on a problem, and that problem could just be, I need a new idea, right? It could be something I'm trying to solve, or it could be something very ambiguous, but I meditate on that and sort of frame it, and I hang on to it as I'm going to sleep and carry it with me. And regardless of what my dreams are about as I'm dreaming, I'll usually wake up with an answer to that question or an idea, just fully formed.
I love it.
Cool. Very cool. I can't say that I've ever had a dream that I turned into a world, but here's the weird part. I have dreams of me in the worlds that I've built. So, like for the location, so I actually have dreams now that take place in worlds that I built, like in my virtual classrooms and stuff like that. So that shows you're spending too much time in AltSpace when it's invading your consciousness at that level.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else? Come on. All right. Admit it. Send up some claps if you, or happy faces, whatever, if you have actually had an AltSpace dream. Yeah, we're not alone. Yes. Okay, that is brilliant. Okay, thanks. That's Haley. That's wonderful. Okay, Von D, you are up.
Okay. I just want to know which of you
Von
it
D,
was.
you have a comment or question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
She was
I could hear them.
I could hear her.
Oh,
Yeah, I
She's
could hear for a
muted.
She's muted
second.
now.
Okay, let's try this again.
Oh,
All right,
she's gone.
Von D, you want to try it again? Oh, she's gone. Oh, buggers.
She's back.
Okay, well, I have
She's
someone
back.
I'm very. She is. Hit the raise hand
Yeah.
button again, Von D, and let's see. So I'm not the only one with crappy internet. So Von D, hit that raise hand button there. Okay, hang on.
Ooh.
She's
Show
gone
on.
again.
There you go.
She's back again.
Okay. I just have the question. I just want to know which of you ladies it was that said that you built like 55 worlds and your first world was done within the first week of coming on.
Yeah, was me. Yeah.
That was you. And was it difficult? Crazy.
Well, yes, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I just started, and it ties in with advice that I tend to give people who are starting off world building. Start off, put a few things in, and then see what develops. It develops into something, and then very often there's nothing like you started off. But the first time I tried to do my base jumping world, I thought, oh, I'll put the floor in later. There must be some sort of automatic floor thing. So I built all these objects and all these things and all these hills and whatnot and things to walk along. And then I had a hell of a job putting that floor in. Because I didn't know how to check the lock rotation button. I didn't know how to do that. And it was like I had to make it big. You know how unwieldy it is with the Oculus Go with one hand tied behind my back. I'm trying to get this like 200-foot floor straight underneath everything else. So yeah, check your lock rotation button.
Well, that was the floor was also one of my biggest challenges. In the very, very beginning, I started working with the World Editor when it was barely a week old, and there was no rotation lock. There were no numbers. There was nothing. You had to place it and eyeball it. And I ended up getting 3 people to stand each on a corner and kind of go, no, little left, not too high. Seriously, it was horrible. It was horrible. But how far we've come. How far we've come. All right, for those of you who are on Mac, hit the right click or the escape button to bring up your menu so that if you're using the new PC controls instead of the classic PC controls, and you'll be able to see the raise hand button so you could raise your hand. Okay, how about for the rest of you? Answer to that question?
What was the question? Was it difficult?
Yeah.
I struggled my first world. I have pictures. Yeah, I struggled over my first world for like 3 days and then I deleted it immediately. I don't know what I was trying to do actually. But it was my first day. Like I had met somebody and like we were up till like 4 a.m. just trying to like mess with this world editor. I think I was trying to bring my art gallery into AltSpace and I couldn't do it. I just didn't know what I was doing. So yeah, like I do a lot of lessons, like private lessons, and people get really frustrated, when they see what a lot of us world builders can create. But we all started out that way,
Yeah.
like this is a new space for everybody, so there's room to grow.
Absolutely.
And you just have to give yourself room to learn. And
Absolutely.
just do it in a repeated fashion.
I wish I could show everybody my first world, but it was pretty much these 3 areas, and I got stuck inside the part that I couldn't close, and they were just laughing at me. I would have no right to be even standing up here if you saw it. So I
we all
love
start somewhere.
people that do world
Exactly.
editor. Like I could never get a hang of that. Like I was terrible at that. I mean, I think the most I ever did with that was when we all pulled together, Ralph, for this community is fantastic. There's this builder that spent 3 weeks making Polar Express. Homer. And do you remember he accidentally grabbed the floor and grabbed the train or the tunnel and flipped everything
The
around
tunnel.
and everything
Yeah.
got so messed up. And Rel took a shift to go in, I took a shift, and that's where I really got practice because the entire community worked to help get that world back into place for him. And that was such a cool that's the only time I really truly messed with World Editor, but I thought this community is fantastic that people seriously took shifts in helping this guy get his world back to where it needed to be for a Christmas reading that they did there, and it
Mhm.
made it all that more special to be in there.
And I love that Polar Express continues to be used 3 years later for our Christmas stories and things. We continue to use it. This will be, I think, the 4th year? I've lost track.
Yeah.
How many
It's
years?
fantastic,
And
though.
oh, it's just amazing to see this hand sculpted train that's in there. And yes, he also threw. I had at one point I had one of the largest teleporters in all of AltSpace that took us 2 hours to place. And Homer came in to help me lay some stairs or something. I can't remember what it was in my family history museum. And he accidentally grabbed the teleporter and threw it across the whole space. And it took us 45 minutes to put it back. And then, it just didn't work. So, eventually it had to go, but it was amazing. All right. I have a question here about, okay. I don't think that this doesn't have anything to do with this, but because there are no, all right. So somebody's asking about game jams. There aren't any. And so it doesn't work for the appropriateness of the question of what we're doing here, but let's get on to some appropriate questions. So Von D, thank you. Mocha, we just got a time for just a couple more questions because I want to make sure that y'all have time to come and talk to these world builders. So Mocha, you're up. Mocha? Oops, did we lose you? I'm going to hit it again. All right, Mocha, you're up.
Actually, my question was for an earlier subject about the dreams, but we all off the subject now.
Oh, okay. Do you have another question?
No.
Okay. Well, we're glad that you're here. Thank you. Okay. Shushu, you're up.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm here. So thank you for this event. It's a wonderful team here. There's a really amazing creators, and thank you for all of you. I just wanted to refer to the last question, if it's hard, and I listened to your answer, and I was just thinking that you build wonderful worlds, which, like, most of them are huge, monumental, and just imagine what would happen if you would have to create this in the real world, how many trucks you would have to bring there. So so I would say it's not so hard after all. That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would say too that it's not always that hard. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's funny sometimes we're telling stories here about like, oh, this thing got thrown over there and it took 45 minutes to do it. But actually, it's a lot of those same things, if you tried to do them now in the world editor, would take you 1 minute because they've improved the world editor so much.
Yeah.
There's so many more features that it has nowadays. So I mean, we tell these joking stories because they're kind of, war stories almost about building worlds, if
War
you know
stories.
what I mean. Like that kind of like thinking about it. But it's not much well, don't get me wrong, there's frustration at times, but it's more, I think of it more like a fun game than I do something frustrating, right? Like it's something I do, like I world build in the evenings, like for recreation, to relax after a work day. Like I do it for recreation. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
It is. And then there's moments like this right now where I have been dreaming for about a year of people using this as an event space. It just hasn't been appropriate. And now look at all of you are in here as a shared experience. That's pretty amazing. I usually don't get off on this,
Yeah.
but it's very cool when you see people in your world loving it
That's
and
what I'm talking
enjoying it.
about.
Yeah, it's really
I
magic.
have
It's super
I have to
gratifying.
just say, yeah, I just have to say I had that same experience with the researchers in VR world that Rel helped me make.
Mhm.
I worked on it, and you're in that space by yourself all the time. And then I think I said to you, Rel, it was weird. The first day we had a public event in there, it was like all of a sudden there was 50 people in my living room. Like that's the feel that it had. Like it was
Yeah.
it was kind of weird, but
Well
also super
described.
cool. It was like cool. Everyone was here. Like, yeah, that's
I love
super satisfying. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, I want to make sure. So thank you, everyone. There's still more people who had questions, but we're going to stop in just a moment so that y'all can come and talk to these beautiful world builders. And I want to. I'm going to plug in here somewhere in the middle. Okay. So I want to tell you a quick little story, and then we're going to take you out. Many eons ago, in 2018, I built a little forest. What happened is that I burned my hand I was very, very busy with work and teaching and everything, and I burned my hand with a second and third degree burn on my right hand, which is a very important hand. And it it had big bandages on it, and I was in agony, and I'm allergic to pain meds. And so VR is supposed to help with pain control. And I'd already been in VR for a long time. But I thought, okay, let's see how this works for pain. And my right hand, I'd never done 2D, and my right hand arced right over the mouse, and I could just push the 2 fingers without too much pain. So I thought, all right, this new world building thing is just a few days old. I'm going to give this a try. Now that I'm in pain, I'm going to see if VR will take the pain away. So I built a forest because my home is in a, I live in a forest. Okay. I built all these trees and everything. Of course, I made it too big because I had no sense of scale with the world editor at all. and and this woman came in. I think her name was Mindy or Melinda or something. So let's just call her Melinda. And she came in and she goes, "Oh, this is so cool. This is very cool. Can you climb the trees?" Well, I don't know. Can you? I don't know. I never thought about climbing the trees. So we started climbing the trees, and we were laughing and laughing, and it was hard in those days to get the art, the positioning, the teleporting to try to climb the trees because you don't have hands. So we got up the top, and we're just laughing ourselves silly. And she says, "What happens if we jump off the tree?" I said, "I don't know. Let's jump off the tree." So we jumped off, and we fell. And as we fell, we bounced from tree to tree to tree all the way down. And we're laughing so hard, I wet my pants. I'm not joking you. Absolutely wet my pants. And she said, "Do it again." And we said, "Yes." And we climbed up the trees again and again and again. We spent the next 20 minutes just in hysterics, sitting there, with wet pants. But what I learned that day is I think that in the heart of everyone who is up here and all of you out there is that any time you can connect the adult with your inner child, that's when real magic happens.
Yes.
The Harry Potter books were not successful because children bought them. No, they were successful because there is a wizard in every single adult who wants to escape. We all have that inner child within us. And what happens with virtual world building, I don't care if you're 13 or you're 89 years old, you come in here and you start building, you start creating, you start connecting with people, that inner child wakes up and comes alive. So for all of you, from my own inner child to your own inner child, we thank you for giving us a playground that we can play in. So thank you all very much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. And thanks to everybody up here. Amazing generosity for everyone who came up here to spend their time to share. Thanks. And also, this is a UniVirtual Experience. This is a month-long conference with educators in VR and the Virtual World Society. We're bringing you 30 days of non-stop events on every aspect of immersive education. Oops. So I'm probably, is my voice back? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Make sure we have this new health meter that tells me I'm usually cutting out. All right, coming up in just a few hours is Sean Strong is going to be presenting on simplifying VR instructions with Grove XR. Y'all need to check out Grove XR. They're doing some amazing things in immersive education. So that's coming up here in Altspace. We have events on, check this, 20 different VR apps and platforms over these 30 days. We are insane. So thank you again, everyone. We're going to turn off the video. Thank you very much to all of our video people, to Tony's Cube Studios for helping with the VR, and to our wonderful sponsors, HP, Advanced Education, and Engage. All right. Thank you, everybody.